Well, first of all, Jonathan was unlike any, it was full of fun, uh, had a glint in his eye. I remember him saying, Jonathan, actually, how do you learn all those lines? How do you learn those lines? And actually, we'd have a discussion, I remember once in his dressing room about that. But, you know, he was not like, and he was unlike any leading man. So Dan had created this character that was quite, you know, the women really liked Barnabas, and he was, I don't know, he just had a persona that was just so right for that, you know, time. And he was so much of a gentleman. And never once do I recall him ever, you know, saying anything or having an argument. I never had an argument. In fact, I never had an argument in the whole time I was doing Dark Shadows. I don't recall having a disagreement unless it was with Henry, who was directing, or Leela, you know, because, oh no, I think I ought to do this, you know. Of course, they would always have the last word, because it was the voice of God coming through them. You could never see them when you were on the floor. You know, David, what are you doing out there? Oh, where? Oh, you saw that? Dear Grayson. Grayson I truly loved. Grayson was a mother figure for me. In a way, she took care of me, held my hand, you know, told me what to do, took me in as a friend, had me for dinner at their house, my wife and myself, over to, you know, their apartment on 7th, up there by the Wellington Hotel at that time. Nobody like her. There was nobody like her, and there is nobody like her today. She was unique to herself. And I think to a certain extent people didn't know what to do with her. I'm not saying Dark Shadows, I'm saying the business as a whole. Theater, or not theater, but or movies. She was very special. And God, what a laugh. Ah! God, so kind to me. So kind. Dear Louis. Another gentleman. Another gentleman. Although he would get quite proper about certain things, you know. Where he might say something right out and Jonathan may stew about it, you know. But Louis would, and Louis was always going to his house on Long Island at that time. I couldn't imagine. He's got a house on Long Island. And he loved a garden. And he just seemed, again, it's the personality. And I think that was one of the things that the writers and Dan were able to capitalize on. They were able to take those distinct personalities, and we had some, besides wonderful talent, we had wonderful personalities. I mean, on that show. They were distinct personalities, and they had talent to back that up. And Louis's personality, they just put it right into that character. His gentleman quality, his properness, his correct way of whatever, the way he held his body, his whole demeanor. And I think the writers, after a while, they got to know us a little bit, and they certainly were able to, you know, to bring that. I mean, there's nobody else in the world except Grayson Hall who could play Magda. I mean, Julia Hoffman, Lara, Moon Eyes. I thought she was, when I first knew her, she was intimidating to me because she was so beautiful. She was absolutely just stunning. And again, I think that because they didn't know how do we utilize that kind of such beautiful eyes? I just always, inside I'd never tell her I called her moon eyes, but she was just beautiful. And her skin was like the moon. Every time and she'd grown up, and I think she'd appeared at the Front Street Theater down in Tennessee. And she was from that area, so and then we got to know each other. And Laura has a kind of vulnerability that is rooted once you know her. And I could appreciate that. And I don't know whether it's rooted in an insecurity that we all have, that I have and continue. Somebody said, well, yeah, you've had a certain amount of success or whatever. No. My insecurities have always stayed with me. But she had a vulnerability about her that allowed me, and she was accessible. You know, she had such beauty that I just couldn't. But then we became great friends, and have fortunate enough to been able to again see each other, you know, occasionally. And what a character, Angelique. Angelique, like so many of the characters, was so distinct, and people just loved her. Loved her.